You good?
All right, everybody, welcome to the Apostates. One of the wonderful things about getting to do this podcast is incidents like what just happened with YouTube striking our last episode for quote vaccine misinformation.
Damn the man.
I do want to say that YouTube should understand that there is a difference between discussing and refuting and critiquing misinformation and propagating that misinformation. I hope they will make the right call. Who frickin' knows? As you can see, there's a third window open. We have a potential co-host joining us, but we have some technical difficulties with the microphone because technology never really works when you want it to, but hopefully we'll get there. The second we hear her voice, we'll add her to the show, but but in the meantime, we'll be discussing, the usual things with myself, Ren, and with Dallas here.
Yo.
So, before we get into the gas ovens and classified documents of it all, while we're waiting for Rhiannon to join us, we still may be able to get her to join the sort of big meat of the conversation. You mentioned right before the show that Jamaica is talking about.
They've been talking and talking and talking, and I'm like, Lord of mercy, enough time to talk. But the fact that it is really not just an idle bar conversation anymore is exciting because losing countries in the Commonwealth is just a fancy name for colonialism or neo-colonialism. It's just a fancy name for it. A lot of former British colonies are part of it, yet not America because we know better. So right now, New Zealand is in the rumor stage. No one's officially said anything. They've just rumored it. So that could mean anything from some drunk person talking to a foreign journalist in a bar to two drunk members of New Zealand Parliament talking to a former journalist in a bar. There is a difference. Not much of one, but there is a difference. Jamaica saw Barbados leave the Commonwealth. And usually, I hate to say it, whenever Barbados does something, you can almost always guarantee Jamaica is usually not that far behind. That even went from, I think that even applies to our independence dates. A lot of them are clusters. There were periods when Britain was giving them out like orders at a Manhattan delicatessen. So right now it's getting exciting because doing this now kind of really demonstrates the soft power that Queen Elizabeth had.
Oh yeah, there's
soft power. Them and them corgis were holding this entire shit together.
Well, it's one of those things where she had to. Rhiannon, you've joined us. Is that microphone working? Pray to God. Son of a bitch.
Motherfucker.
I could definitely read your lips on those last two expletives. I mean, if you're up to continuing to troubleshoot, we don't mind having you try. But if it's too frustrating, we could try to have you back next week too. It's up to you what you would like to do, but the spot's open for you the whole episode if you want to keep trying. Whatever you need. I know this is, frustrating for you as it is for, we're trying. It's been, I think the universe is really trying to tell us that we made fun of Eric way too much. Our third. And now
and his sweater.
Well, you know what? I mean, you come to this thing, trying to like be all about the Eagles, and I think, we've got too much of a mix going on here with, we've got Florida, and now we've got California. I feel like there's too much Eagles representation going on with me and Eric. But Yeah, to go back to Jamaica and leaving the Commonwealth and Queen Elizabeth's soft power, like you were saying. I mean, she really is, to go back to the Teddy Roosevelt of it all, she really did speak softly but carry a big stick. I mean, this is a woman. Now, no one has ever been able to exactly pin her as knowing much about it, but she was in charge when those concentration camps were set up in Kenya. She's not
Yeah, the Mau
exactly.
Mau rebellion. Yeah, her putting down the Mau Mau rebellion is something that she will have to answer for.
She is not exactly the.
She's not the soft grandmother of your dreams, guys.
And
She
I
really
think
not.
everyone knew that. And Prince Charles, on the other hand, has to have someone put his toothpaste on his toothbrush for him. And everyone knows that. So,
And everyone knows the fact that, and everyone knows, if this is rumor, that at one point he basically said to Harry, listen, I'm going to give Meghan 50 million to divorce you. And I'm like, no wonder Jamaica left. Or at least no wonder Jamaica is thinking about leaving.
they should. I would love to see a world where Prince Charles, and I'm going to just keep calling him Prince Charles, waited his whole life to
Fucking
become
life.
king. And he becomes king, and he starts just losing Commonwealth nations like that.
That would actually be hilarious, and it would be something that literally you would hear. I think you would be able to hear Princess Diana's cackle from the afterlife.
Because I want his reign to be known for like the 4 more years he's going to be alive, because I do hope he just dies in 4 years. I want him to reign for 4 years and lose almost every Commonwealth there is in that time.
Canada.
So
that's only because Canada does not have the energy to file that paperwork right now. Canada's like, I mean, we would leave, but honestly, can't find the keys. Don't care. That's literally it. It's like the United Kingdom and Canada. That's it. Like Canada literally is like, we literally cannot find the keys. We are tired. Just white out our name off the lease. White our name out. Yeah, we not really part of this shit no more.
No, and I think Australia's waiting in the rings with the switchblade.
Basically, at this point, I have a feeling if Jamaica goes forward, it is going to create a domino effect. You are going to lose Guyana. You are going to lose a lot of the countries that people forgot were part of the Commonwealth. You're going to have people you're going to have countries digging through their sock drawers, finding the papers, saying, oh, let me sign this, send this to King Chuck Cubed so that he can get the fuck out so I can get him the fuck off the lease because we're tired.
I mean, but come on, how can there be a better display of raw power than him not liking pens on his table and going,
yeah, that meanwhile, the queen, who would be eternally well prepared, would just reach into her purse, shoot somebody why? But why? And then dig out her own pen from her purse. You know that is how that would have gone down. It would have been but why? And then that person's gonna find Corgi shit in their shoe. That's how this works. And I admit it, maybe because I'm a stan. I firmly believe that if they did not allow the British press to act like a bunch of racist frat boys regarding this biracial American woman who comes along, I don't think we would be discussing the dissolution of the Commonwealth as something that could happen in our lifetimes. The dissolution of the Commonwealth is an inevitability, but they just ratcheted that shit up about 25 to 30 years.
I mean,
there's a lot of issues. There are a lot of other issues, trade issues, things that are not being apportioned properly among Commonwealth countries. There's a lot of fuck shit and drama, but the visual, the idea that you can't even that you want to rule over 1.5 billion non-white people, and you can't even tolerate a non-white person in your own damn house, what the fuck you think this is, motherfucker?
So are you saying that we could trace the downfall of the empire perhaps to Piers Morgan?
Yes.
Ah! All right. So I think the next thing that I want to get to is them classified documents.
Oh, Lord.
And I think
what a shit show that is.
I think, first of all, I want to address this to our dear friend, Joe. Listen, Joe, buddy.
Sweetheart.
The fuck, man.
I can't.
How do you go on TV and say, how irresponsible can you be? And you have got that shit all over your house in your garage. In your fucking garage.
Yes, we appreciate you not showing the documents to rando foreign leaders. Congratulations for not doing that. But that's literally the least we asked for here. Admittedly, it wasn't reams of the shit, but some aides fell down on the job here. Some aides did not clean up. I understand a lot. I understand that scatterbrainness is a signature of many smart people. Being scatterbrained is a signature of many smart people, but
not a quality you want in a president.
Or even a vice president. Kamala right now is probably looking around and going, okay, you know what? Let's do a paperwork roundup now.
First of all, who?
Yes, I said it. She still exists. She's still working. She still exists. She's still working. She's still vice presidenting. Vice presidenting is not a loud job. I think you are supposed to not know that the vice president exists until somebody dies.
I certainly don't know she exists. Oh, Rhiannon, can I hear you? I don't know. Ah, shit. I don't think I can hear you. Son of a bitch. Again.
Motherfucker.
We're just talking about how Joe Biden's a fucking idiot with the classified documents. But we'll figure this out. But honest to goodness, I just can't believe how easy it is for just two old men to just walk out of the White House with classified documents. Rhiannon says it's a clusterfuck. Yeah, I mean, there's just no...
But you also have to think of it like this. The reason Kamala won't do it, she's a black woman. You think they're going to be going over her shit with a fine-tooth comb.
I mean, if that is the lowest bar we have... for the next president, will you promise, pretty please, not to just walk out of the place with classified material?
Get good interns that know how to sort shit. Don't just get interns that are your frat brother's baby cousin. We not doing this anymore. We tired.
What, is fucking Corn Pop working at the White House now?
I don't fucking know.
Is that
at this
why?
Point, probably. At this point. I mean, I know that they aren't hiring direct relatives. God love them for that, at least. But I don't know.
Direct relatives couldn't pass the drug test.
Oh, Hunter, I love you, sir, but I love you. I love you. You've done enough cluster fucking, and we're glad that you want to stay out of the spotlight. But at least acknowledge your kid while doing so. I said I said.
Oh God, yeah. If you were going to have an out-of-wedlock child, it's not the child's fault. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, just because you are openly pro-choice does not mean you get to ignore the child.
It's not very, the whole family trying to distance themselves, Biden trying to prevent the kid from getting his name. It's all very, for a family that really tries.
It's very Kennedy-ish. I said it.
Well, they are that kind of. They are that kind of people.
I'm like, I hate to be that person, but it's a little Kennedy. It's a little Kennedy to do that kind of shit. That's some shit. That's some rum running Joe Kennedy Sr. shit.
I just think, there is a lot of bad faith when it comes to the whole Hunter Biden thing. there is definitely some concern. I mean, it shouldn't be that easy for the son of a vice president to get a no-show job in Ukraine making $50 million. It just shouldn't happen. But tell me about how anybody on the same side that's going after Hunter Biden and starting the committee to release his dick pics, were they going out and doing the same thing for Ivanka Trump and the Chinese and her, Chinese patents or
I'd like to see. This is where I would be. I would be like, where is Maria Butina? I would like to speak to Miss Butina, please.
Isn't she in prison, or did they trade her back?
We might have traded her back, but I'm thinking old girl probably has seen the bedrooms of many prominent Republicans, and many of those same prominent Republicans are salivating at the prospect of the embarrassment of Hunter's dick pics. And I don't know if that embarrassment is the fact that they know that it's bigger than theirs, or just the fact that it's out there.
Hunter Biden's dick pic is my favorite band that no one's ever heard of.
No, I heard of them. They played it. They were one of the last bands to play at Churchill's before they shut down.
Oh, I thought it was Bonnaroo.
I heard they did Bonnaroo too. That was like either the year before COVID. I think it was the year before COVID.
So mainly this whole classified documents thing, it just has me I'm pissed because Joe, you fucking idiot, you are such an arrogant asshole and such a negligent asshole too. And I think there's this element of the GOP and a lot of Republicans, a lot of Trumpistas who think that people who hate Trump must love Biden. We don't.
I'm ambivalent. I understand his existence, and I understand his selection. I understand his existence and his selection. It was a case of in order to beat one evil, you need a different kind of evil. It's like he's a white male. He's a cishet white male. Yeah, only another cishet white male can beat that.
Well, the presidency in general is going to have a certain kind of evil, and I put it out there recently. I'd like someone to name one president that would actually get into heaven, and I don't think
Jimmy Carter, maybe.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter, maybe.
Possibly John Quincy Adams. I've heard nothing but good things, but you never know. I mean,
John Quincy would probably be on probationary status for like a century and a half.
I know he was anti-slavery and pro-Native American rights, but you never know. Sometimes those people do really fucked up shit that don't make it into the history books.
That's what I'm saying. I think he probably would be on probationary. He'd probably be on be on probationary status for like the first century and a half.
It's like when I learned about the time that Lincoln hung all those Native Americans.
The Dakota hangings. Yeah, no.
I think we all know that, there's a certain kind of person that's president, and it's a person that is probably going to hell. And you got at least.
You do need at least a cup of sociopathy to be president.
Yeah.
To at least run and win, you gotta be like one part. You gotta be at least like 1/8 sociopath, just straight sociopath.
Yeah, and again, me being formerly GOP, or leaving the right, as they say. I mean, I don't think I've changed that much, but whatever. It's a conversation we've had and can have again.
Lord knows, yeah.
But it's just that, just because I think Trump is the type of person who's going to hell doesn't mean I think Obama's getting into heaven. There is a lot of brown people that died from drone strikes who are going to be...
drone strikes are going to be a little hard to explain away.
Yeah. So I think, going back, I think Biden has scaled down the drone warfare, but he hasn't gotten rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, half point for that.
The lives he's ruined with the war on drugs may be more indirect. I don't know. He's losing points. He's losing points in as far as whether he gets into the good place or the bad place. He may spend less time in eternity on a loop before he gets into the good place than the others. Who knows?
Yeah, listen, like I said, the only one that I know for unqualified, no discussion, yeah, you good, is gonna. I can stake it on Jimmy Carter.
And as we discussed on the show, he damn well better outlive Henry Kissinger.
That's all we asking for, honestly, at this point. Listen, that's all I'm asking for. Just outlive Henry Kissinger. Then I will say, you know what? Maybe we can make it as a species.
So I think with this classified documents thing, the House is now starting a committee to investigate it, which I think is fine. It's, from a place of bad faith.
The concept of investigating, fine. But these motherfuckers?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. It comes from a place of bad faith. But I think there's always this bluff calling that fails when it comes to the GOP. They want to say, like, with Trump's taxes when they came out, it was like, how would you like it if we went and released Nancy Pelosi's tax? Yes, do it, please.
Go for it. Go for it.
I would really like to know what these people are doing.
Yeah, like, would that actually hurt my feelings? No.
Oh, no, not Nancy Pelosi.
Pelosi's taxes. Whoa. Oh, my God.
And it's the same thing. It's the same problem I have with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden in the classified documents. Like, I'm not trying to say that they're exactly the same because they're not. Hunter Biden, there is the usual level of nepotism and corruption.
Yeah, the man's a nepo baby. We know this. This is not anything anyone denies.
But when it comes to all the things that Biden and the scandals with his family, Trump always does it more extreme and worse and dumber.
Is so much less apologetic about it. We are suckers for an apology. We are suckers when white people just shut the fuck up and do what we ask them to do, and they act like the bar's in hell. So if they just shut the fuck up and do what we ask, we are gonna give them a whole bunch of credit. And Lord knows Biden's just trying to do that shit and hope that it doesn't get any worse.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like as soon as he finds, he's like, okay, yeah. Oh, I did not know about that one here. Like, he's handing them over as soon as he finds them. It's just the fact that we keep finding them.
Yeah.
That's it's like, it's not, he hands them over and we're happy about that. There's no digging he's not digging his feet in. He's not doing any of that, but god damn, dude. Your interns and organizers were trash.
Well, I get tired of using this phrase, and I'm sure people are tired of hearing me use it. It's the bad faith of it all. It's the idea that people like Maria Bartiromo screaming on Fox News, "Where's the raid on Biden's house?" Like, the FBI doesn't raid your house if you're cooperating.
Sorry, they don't raid cooperating witnesses, and Biden is just cooperating and just like, bitch, keep looking. I don't know if I have anything else in there, but you can look. There might be, bitch. I don't know, but take it if you find it.
And I think the big part of it is, they both suck, but Biden, his issues were negligence and arrogance. Trump's was maliciousness, pettiness, and outright possibly
he had the sociopathy.
Criminal intent.
He had the sociopathy of at least 3 pre-Civil War presidents combined.
God, doesn't he wish too?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm not saying intellect. I said sociopathy. That doesn't require.
I just meant he wishes he were one of the pre-Civil War presidents because.
God Almighty! Yeah, he knows that he's so underhung, and it gets him so pissed off that beating black people would probably make him feel better. So,
this show might as well be called "Yeah, We Went There."
I'm sorry,
but
not really. But I'm sorry.
So there's an element, with Trump, he said they were his, and then the National Archives noticed they were missing because of the volume that was missing. Yeah, and asked for it, and they're like, I don't have it. And then they asked for it again, and they're like, I don't have it. And they're like, you do, please give it to us. And then they did that for like a year, and then they sent a subpoena, and the subpoena was ignored, and they sent a little bit back, but not nearly what they were asking for. and then they said we don't have any more, except they knew they had more, and like it was a whole saga that lasted well over a year until the FBI finally came and took them,
said
and
fuck
found
it.
Absolutely that there totally was more. Meanwhile, Biden's team found it at their house, and we're like, oh shit, we should call the National Archives. Hey, National Archives, here's this stuff we found. So yeah, Biden's a fucking idiot for having this stuff.
But the fact that they literally were like, can you come pick this shit up? Can you come get this shit? We didn't even know we had it. Come get it, because we don't.
That's kind of the problem with Biden's scandals as they are. These would be legitimate scandals if Trump had never existed.
Yeah. It would be a case of, okay, this is fucked up. But it's because when you see Trump's recalcitrance and repeated thumbing of the law, and then you just see Biden going, oh shit, I have that? No, go get it, take it, bruh, don't want it. It kind of makes the idiocy of even having it in the first place, it makes it look unimportant, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah. No, I think that this hopefully might spur a conversation about better safeguarding classified information outside of the White House.
And can we just start? I just feel like part of me is like, can we just put this shit on USB drives and give everyone e-readers? I'm tired. But then I realized, wait, this is still government we're talking about. This is going to be inefficient. This is going to be as inefficient and clusterfucky as possible.
I mean, after all, Hillary Clinton said she couldn't handle having more than one phone. So imagine an e-reader of classified documents. That's probably just a non-starter.
Yeah, that would just, I mean, in the real world, it would make sense. In government, sense it does not make.
So, by the way, I took some allergy pills before the show, and I'm drinking a lot of water. And you want to know why? It's because I watched a little bit after the show posted just to make sure, the sound worked and everything like that. And I noticed I was doing this every 10 seconds.
Oh, you were doing the Don Jr.?
Yeah. So I don't want people to think that I'm on cocaine. So I am drinking lots of water, and I took some allergy pills, so I'm not scratching my nose constantly.
God, when will that man go? God, I need Don. You want to know something? What would actually be hilarious and bipartisan and probably not work? Hunter Biden to lead an intervention on Don Jr.
He's been there. He's done that. He'd be a perfect, accountability partner.
That's the thing. It's like, listen, all these people know and actually pretend to like each other to some degree. At this point, I would actually kind of almost respect Don Jr. if he actually called Hunter and said, hey, yo, no, this shit's out of control. I need to stop. You know anyone. And I don't mean getting me more drugs. I mean getting me off them. I would actually respect him. I mean, yeah, my respect for him is in hell, but, at least it would rise to Mariana Trench level. I'm just saying. I'm tired. The man needs serious therapy. He doesn't have, I don't know whether Don Jr. beat him too much or not enough.
Well, there was that story about Donald Trump just beating the shit out of him in that hallway in college. Yeah, because he wasn't getting ready fast enough. There was some story about that.
Wow. In other words, he's not beating him for an actual reason. Jesus. The car gonna wait for you. Whatever event it is, it probably will wait for you.
When it comes to all of the sort of disgusting foibles of the families of the presidents, I miss when they were merely embarrassments and not possible national security threats. Because no one said that Roger Clinton could possibly compromise us to the Chinese or the Russians.
I miss the Bush girls drinking underage.
Heaven forbid.
I miss the Bush girls drinking underage. I miss Billy Carter and all his fuck shit. I even miss the Reagan kid. I miss Ron Reagan Jr. openly declaring himself an atheist. I mean, those were things that made us. They made, goddamn.
Oh man. So I think now might be a better time to move on to something marginally less embarrassment, and that is this little story. And so there's this consumer protection board, and one member of this board discussed the possibility that because of the negative health effects of gas stoves, it may be worth considering banning them in the future. This person has no policy-making authority. This isn't an actual policy proposal. This was just someone basically floating it. One member of this board, in fact.
So, in other words, he just said, let me run this by y'all real quick.
And then...
this is how we got here.
A couple days later, I'm going to give you an example. Here is a tweet from Representative Ronnie Jackson.
Dr. Feelgood Jackson.
Yeah, the man who said that Donald Trump is 239 pounds.
Oh, that liar!
He wrote, "I'll never," in all caps, "give up my gas stove. If the maniacs in the White House come for my stove, they can pry it from my cold den hands." And then the rest in all caps, "Come and take it!" 2 exclamation points.
How drunk was he when he... That's it. No. Somebody needs to fit this man's phone and electronic devices with a breathalyzer before he does a goddamn thing.
It's not just him. It is, it was all over Fox News, all these stories about they're coming to take your gas stoves away. It is yet another in the series of culture war, it's become the new culture war thing. The Democrats are coming for your stove. Remember when they said Biden was going to ban hamburgers?
Oh, yeah, that bullshit. At this point, Lord, listen, my parents have a gas stove. It actually does come in. I'm not going to lie. When they can be more stable than electric. We were, I think, one of the only families that had ability to heat food on the block because after Hurricane Andrew in 92, because we had a gas stove. But the GOP losing their goddamn minds over some random policy wonk just running the idea by the rest of the Consumer Protection Board.
And the idea was that new construction would have to have electric stoves. So no one would be taking old gas stoves unless it was new construction or brand new renovation, basically. Now, I get that people like their freedom. I do. But there's also the idea that regulations do have their place. And there's a reason that we no longer, put formaldehyde in milk to make it a little more white and sweet.
Wait, what?
Or maybe it was arsenic, but I think it was formaldehyde.
Wait, what?
Formaldehyde milk. All right.
Okay, listen. I need. Wait a goddamn minute. Okay, so I read Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. And I thought, okay, the meatpacking industry is trash and hell, and no wonder, and FDA. Formaldehyde or arsenic in milk?
It was formaldehyde. They used it in milk to, part of it was to fight against bacteria, but the other part of it is it made it sweet. Now, basically, this is the reason I bring this up is regulations are a good thing. And I think the GOP likes to say they want to fight against so much business stifling regulations. Not regulations are what keep you and your children alive. Regulations, I'm sure there are bad ones, but saying regulations are bad for their own sake is just
No.
dumb. And this moral panic over gas stoves, well, not really a moral panic, but a cultural
Yeah.
sort of culture war thing, is another one of those things, because it's like the formaldehyde in milk, or if you will, another comparison. I can't claim credit for this one, but I heard it. But a good comparison is taking lead out of pipes and paint. Imagine the GOP having a shit fit because we want to take lead out of paint on playgrounds and take lead out of water pipes. It's basically the same thing. It's been demonstrated that there are health concerns with burning natural gas in your house.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the biggest concern in the world, but there is a more energy efficient way, and there is a safer way to do it, and that is with electric stoves. It's not for everybody. I'm sure it's a lot more convenient to have a gas stove. It's true. But there's this public policy effect here. And that's kind of where it comes from. And, at a certain point, there is no perfect way to do stuff like this.
No, there isn't.
It may be that getting rid of gas stoves is something we need to do for the health of children who are suffering from increased incidence of asthma, and who, it does have health.
Let's put it like, all I gotta say is this: I don't think the GOP gives a goddamn tinker's toot in hell about children's health. Not since Uvalde, not since Sandy Hook. I'm sorry.
They only really care about children's health when they can say that it's a drag queen that's threatening kids. But when it's something that actually threatens their health, like something like burning natural gas in the house that might cause them to have, to develop bronchitis and, all things like that, they don't care because I want my fire. Man,
they're great. Fire. In other words, they're more than happy to force birth on a grown ass woman, but not give a damn about her being alive to raise the kid.
Well, yeah, ultimately they don't really have any plan other than to say, you will not take my fire away from me. This is outrageous. Oh, I hope I can hear you.
I switched my phone. Does this work?
Yes.
It's a shitty picture, but yeah, I had to switch to my phone.
You were just joining us, so we were just talking about the gas stove kerfuffle that's going on over the internets now, and and actual news organizations are
actually giving time to this.
Well, you have to think about which news organizations are giving time to this. I mean,
fair.
Because I feel like CNN and all of those ones, the middle of the road, whatever, they're just going to parrot whatever Fox News says, because all of them are in the business of fomenting outrage.
They basically make a good portion of their primetime material from reacting to shit that Fox News says.
Yes.
So,
yes.
It's like they're not exactly all that better.
Right.
No, they're not.
Right.
So
right.
We'll return to this subject, but now that you're here, welcome, Rhiannon, to the Apostates.
Hi.
The show by and for disaffected current Republicans or former Republicans. So where do you in that respect, like what's your background?
Well, when I was 18, I registered to vote, and I come from a really, really, really blue family. My great-grandfather was a mayor, Democratic, the whole family. Like, if you voted Republican in my family, you might as well just not show up for any of the holidays. So, of course, I did a little bit of the rebellion, and I registered as a Republican. But that was, what am I? I'm 45 now. That was over 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago. It was a lot different then. That was like Bob Dole Republicanism. So, it was mostly a rebellion thing, but I would be lying if I said there weren't certain things about Republicanism in its, I guess, former sense.
In time.
Yeah, where I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because I'm not into, I feel like, especially now, Democrats pander a lot, and I hate the pandering. I hate it. So I would call myself middle of the road. I tend to be a little bit more conservative, not so much on spending things, but just, I guess, that old, just fucking get over it. It might never happen. To paraphrase Absolutely Fabulous.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of things that if the Republicans actually stood for some
Yep.
of the things they claimed they stood for,
Mm-hmm.
like fiscal responsibility, for example, what's fiscally responsible is actually investing in people. And if you'd spend less money preventing homelessness than homelessness costs, for example, but they call that shit handouts. So it's like that to me is where like the things go off the rails with actual republicanism versus what they
theoretical republicanism.
Right. And I think both parties just become caricatures of themselves at this point. Like, I'm not quite ready to leap into libertarianism, but I have some good friends who consider themselves social libertarians, and I really, really like their standpoints on everything. But that's kind of a pipe dream thing.
There's a certain amount, of utopian wish fulfillment in libertarianism that I can totally understand. But we were just talking about the gas stoves and regulations. I think there's this sort of idea that the government regulations are an encroachment on freedom. But I also think that, as we were talking about, like how the dairy industry used to put formaldehyde in milk, there's a reason regulations do exist, and I don't think it betrays libertarian intent to be okay with a good amount of government intervention.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to be honest. I used to think libertarianism was okay till I met people. After I met people, it kind of just went out the window.
Yeah, there are some people that I follow on Facebook, though, who would consider themselves libertarians who have separated themselves from the party as a whole because they went into the Tea Party bullshit. They went into embracing just a lot of the hardline Republican bullshit. They're trying to align themselves with that. And I don't know anybody who is into that. Like, it's the libertarianism that I know is let your neighbor have his guns and grow his weed, and if he wants to marry a dude, marry a dude. So there is a certain utopian thing to it, but I think it's also there's a pragmatism to it too that I like, that I don't see in other parties. I think pragmatism has gone completely out the window.
Yeah, there is a certain amount of people like on the ground who don't, I think, really understand the political realities of living in a society, and that you can't be a hardline in a representative government that requires you to come to some kind of common ground that can get 218 votes. and there's always going to be, back in the day with Republicans, it was Arlen Specter who was the thorn in their side. Now it's sort of the Joe Manchins and Krista Sinemas who are the same for Democrats. And there's always going to be those people. And I think that you can have your ideology, but you also have to be able to compromise with yourself and understand that your ideological purity works great for a personal philosophy. Yeah. But you can't you can't hold out for that presidential
that perfect presidential candidate that makes you feel warm and fuzzy yet protected.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And I don't want I don't know if you can cuss on here, but I don't want a effing president. I don't want a fucking president that protects me and keeps me warm and fuzzy. I just want somebody to handle the big shit so that I can work and do what I need to do in my personal life, in my own little insignificant life. I don't need somebody who's perfect and shares my la 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 la. That's la 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 bullshit.
Yeah, basically
it's childish.
Yeah. And basically the philosophy on cursing on the show is basically everything but the C word. Nothing that'll get us canceled, basically. Yeah. Or fired.
Yeah, that's basically how that works.
Well, that's good to know because that's one of my favorite words. I watch way too much British television.
I usually resort it's my red button swear word of the last resort.
Yeah,
I think
Americans have.
I think I've used it twice on message boards, and every time I did, it detonated, but I was never disciplined.
Yeah, no, that it's Americans. We really have a problem with that C word. Whereas when especially in the UK, they say it like we say
Yeah.
shit. You know, it doesn't even matter to them, and I like that.
Yeah,
I honestly would love to hear like Biden on a hot mic say it, like somewhere, Peter Ducey just gets on his last nerves and he just kind of just says it under his breath, and the mic catches him.
At that point, I would be like, he's not wrong.
Right.
There would be a lot of people reacting with, he's not wrong.
I'm pretty sure Steve Ducey's dropped that on his son a couple times.
I don't even know if his son knows what it means. I've never really seen, I don't know. I've never really thought Peter Ducey to be of any sort of intellectual heft. I just thought mainly that there was just cytoplasm keeping his head shaped properly. Not much in which of brain housing.
With all due respect to the White House press corps, which is not much, you don't get there by being the most intelligent of reporters.
Right. You really
They're not giving you the assignments where you're doing hard-hitting interviews with people, asking the tough questions. You're sitting there asking the same version of the same question that 20 other people are asking.
Yeah, the days of Helen, what was her name? The one, the older lady.
Helen Thomas.
Helen Thomas. The days of Helen Thomas are long gone. Yeah.
Because because the thing is, I wouldn't be shocked is if we got if I often think 3 random political influencers on TikTok would ask harder questions than this.
I get better political news from Demois than I do from any of the news outlets.
It's like I follow. It's like I have a cluster of random journalists I follow on Twitter. I often get things about a day and a half before I actually see it on the news. It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I'm one of those idiots who has subscription to mainstream news outlets. I think mostly because it's just easier. But there's a grain of salt I always have. I have my subscriptions to the Washington Post, the New York Times, things like that. But they're basically cheap and easy, much like certain mothers. But with the Washington Post, it's as easy as canceling and saying it's too expensive, and then they offer you half off, and then you accept it for another year. And
I get that.
Does it count if I subscribe to the New York Times cooking section? I mean,
oh yeah, I love. That's where that's actually.
I used to subscribe to the New York Times. Then I just couldn't do it anymore. I don't remember what event made me go, nah, we done here.
I had a subscription for about 10 years to the Nation magazine, and then I was like, I'm kind of over it. I think at one point I had a subscription to National Review. Yeah.
What was wrong with me? I don't know. I can't tell you. We've all made mistakes.
Well, I mean, I will say that I do, above all of them, I will listen to NPR the most. I'll give them the most credence above anybody else, but I still take it with a grain of salt. I know that they try really hard not to be biased.
I admit I use it for insomnia relief, because Lord knows they choose the most soothing voices to the point where you're just like, and we're done. Clocked the entire fuck out.
It's the first thing on in my car. It's all I listen to in my car.
I do podcasts. I don't know what that makes me, but it's like, you're wrong about was the original sin for me, then maintenance phase, which I can't recommend enough. But yeah.
My favorite is definitely Knowledge Fight, where these two comedians go and basically listen to Alex Jones every day.
Oh God, why? Why would you willingly listen to Alex Jones? That's my question.
Yeah.
Why would you willingly listen to Alex Jones? There's a lot.
their best episodes, and if you only listen to one of their episodes, listen to the ones that are called formulaic objections, where they go through and dissect his depositions, and it's incredible, just from the standpoint of how disordered his brain is. Listening.
Maybe it's all the colloidal silver.
This episode of the Apostates, we are selling brain force plus, to fight the globalists.
I was just going to say all the cocaine, but that sounds much more elegant.
I hear his drug of choice is just copious amounts of alcohol. I mean, there might be some cocaine in there.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, he hangs out with Don Jr. enough that I think we can immediately
and
we can
Bannon and
that,
Steve Bannon.
I've never pictured Steve. Steve always strikes me as too sloppy to be a really good cokehead. He just seems like a walking pustule.
And you know that Don Jr. does not fucking share.
Oh no, Don Jr. keeps tabs. If he hooks you up like every now and then with a bump, he keeps tabs. He's
writes expecting you to bump. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm speaking as an as a former exotic dancer from Miami. I'm like, who does that? Keeping track of bumps distributed among your friends. That's how you end up with no friends.
I mean, it's Don Jr. You just, you basically just answered it. Can you imagine that guy with friends? Do you think he has friends in the sense that we would know friends?
I just think he has people that answer the phone because they know either it's going to result in him giving them money, escorts, or cocaine.
Just, like, going back to my drinking days, and I realize I'm saying this as someone who has done 2 shows while drinking. I mean, back to my serious drinking days. That I have. It was good to be reminded every now and again that your bar friends are not your real friends.
They're really not. They're really not.
Yeah.
They're really not. They're really not. The strip club friends are not the real friends. They're just they're just workmates.
Mm-hmm.
They just workmates.
Yep.
Don Jr. strikes me as, like, basically, if Elon Musk had his shit together even less, he would be Don Jr., which is basically another way of saying that if the two of them had no money, they'd be incel school shooters.
Oh, God. Okay, so saying that, which one would you rather be stuck in a room with while they do copious amounts of blow? I mean...
Don Jr.
Really?
Because all right, like, let me put it this way. Don Jr. would be so fun to laugh at and so fun to make me feel better at myself. And Elon Musk is worth nothing but annoying the shit out of me. He's the kind of asshole who thinks that cocaine makes him even more amazing.
That's true. I mean, I'm just thinking about it from my point of view. Like, I'm just thinking about it for me as I'd be like, okay, am I talking to these people while in my days dancing while working? Then in which case, I can fake thinking that everything that is coming out of Elon's mouth is so fucking brilliant. So I can get some money out of this situation.
I mean, he acts like all he wants is a friend to appreciate him.
Exactly. And there's a lot of things I can fake in this life. And if pretending to be Elon Musk's friend means he buys me out for the night, hands me 10 grand, and I get to leave for the night, yes, I will be more than happy to pretend to be Elon Musk's friend. Bitch, I'll do that shit.
If he tries to impregnate you, at least you'll get a horse.
Right.
I don't even want. There are things I do. There are things I have done in this life, but I don't think that's a fair trade. Having to deal with Elon Musk on a intimate skin-to-skin contact and only getting a horse out of it. Nah, I need more than a horse to make up for this.
You don't want to be Eskimo sisters with Grimes?
God, no! I mean, not even Azealia Banks wanted that shit. The fuck I look like?
Wasn't he? Didn't he also bang Amber Heard at one point too?
Oh God! Oh no, that is not an Eskimo sisterhood I would like to be a part
Yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
There you
listen, if
go.
I gotta be an Eskimo sisterhood with a bunch of white women, that is not that is not it. Those are not the ones. Those are not white women I want to be Eskimo sisters with.
Not
No,
Kimberly
bitch.
Guilfoyle from Don
my
Jr.
my vagina just went right up into my throat.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
No, baby, no, no, no. There are things like no, 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 ma'am. That is a bad that my bisexuality just took the hardest of gay turns. Like it went past Kristen Cinema, left skid marks.
I'm just thinking
The
about
best is
how,
yet to come.
I'm just thinking about how when I edit the thumbnail for YouTube, I have to click that little thing that asks whether this is for children or not.
It is not. We are not for children. We
No.
are barely for adults, much less for children. But yeah, no, like I said, thank you for bringing up Kimberly Guilfoyle. I'm going to end up hitting on some random dude just to get that idea out my head.
Man, my governor used to be married to her. I still can't believe that.
That is
That's the
so
part that
cool.
gets me. It's like finding out when Gina Carano used to date Henry Cavill. I'm like, Henry hit that?
Right.
Oh!
No, to me, that's more like the whole Ann Coulter, Bill Maher thing.
No. That actually makes sense. They're both horrible people.
There is that, yeah. I mean, I assume hate sex is wonderful.
Yeah, hate sex can be amazing, but I never want to picture it between those two ever again.
Did you guys ever, speaking of that, did you ever see the episode of Boondocks with Ann Coulter, where they kind of skewered Ann Coulter and Bill Maher and all of that? And it was all just a sham, and Ann Coulter, it was all, they go into it. Boondocks is
Did she
fantastic
turn out to be gay
anyway.
or a horse?
No, she was one of those white women who always dates black dudes. So she goes on to these shows and she runs her fucking mouth, but off stage, like in the green room, she's got black boyfriends, the whole thing. She's, down with the black people is how they kind of portray it. Like it's all a scam. Like everybody's in on it. It's just a scam.
There is this certain element of grifterism in the right wing that
Yeah.
really, and I'm not saying it's exclusive to the right wing, but it's certainly there.
Listen, I just think about the fact that Gina Carano gave up a generational bag. Henry Cavill used to tag that.
Right.
She had a generational bag coming. Them Disney, she gave that up for a movie that made $804 domestically.
Yeah, to make movies with Ben Shapiro.
My roommate's bonus is bigger than this.
I just think that with her, it's kind of sad because there's this sort of reactionary drive to want to be, a rebel and an outcast. And it's like, if you just play the game, because
you don't want to be a rebel and an outcast.
You're not changing the world. You're not, you're going to be a hero to a certain quarter of people, but at what cost?
You're just reciting lines that a coked up incel came up with during a coke bender. Stop.
Right. What was that? What was it that she was they wanted her to announce her pronouns on Twitter or something like that?
Well, yeah, they were like
it wasn't so much. It was the people. That's what kind of cascaded from where she listed her pronouns, or she did that thing where people, instead of doing she, her, or whatever, she did. And someone said that's insensitive. And it's just a random person on Twitter saying that. Why get upset about it?
She got in her fifis because someone's like, that's kind of a dick move. It's
not like a senator went up to her and saying, you're being it's just some rando on Twitter. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying that there's, I'm just saying that she got mad because one person on Twitter gave her shit for it, and she let it spiral out into this thing because ultimately she, like Ann Coulter and like Bill Maher, even though they're politically opposites, they're all reactionaries.
She compared conservatives to Jews during the Holocaust.
I remember that.
And I'm just like,
that was the straw. I think, no, I don't think anybody really cared about her listing her pronouns as beep bop boop.
Beep bop boop.
It's just,
it's like, congratulations, we know you're a transphobic bitch.
It's just one of those things. Like it's like that. It's just that old, Babylon Bee joke. No one cares that you're going to be like, if that's, your kind of person. One person will make a comment, but she let her feelings get hurt by one commenter, and then it just spiraled into her tanking her career.
Well, welcome to Twitter, dummy. I mean, what do you think Twitter is there for? It exists.
Lord knows. Lord knows I do that. Lord knows I've had like once every 3 months a blue check says something to me and I'm like, damn, okay. And because I don't have a blue check, maybe because I have had just enough therapy to not let it bother me. My response is usually, I'm just going to mute you because I don't know what brought that on. So bye and move on. But apparently she didn't.
This goes back to something I think I wanted to say earlier, but why is it that all these billionaires who are the only people who could actually afford therapy never take it?
Thanks, man.
Ego. That's ego.
Because none of us can actually afford therapy, and these people are inflicting their issues on us.
Issues on everybody, because Lord knows if I woke up tomorrow with Elon Musk money, shit.
That's all ego.
I'm like, first of all, I'm getting all the therapy. Like, lock me away for a year. I'm just getting my mind right. Then the following year, I'm just gonna buy an RV and a yurt and tour every run fest in the country. Goals.
I can't think of anything. There's nothing you can even plan to do with that much money because it's an incomprehensible amount of money in the human brain. I mean, you could say $1 million. You can totally plan what you're going to do with that. Even 100 billion. But what did he used to be worth? Like 140 billion. You can't plan for that.
Right.
With $1 million, you could at least. What would you do with $1 million? 2 chicks at the same time.
It's like $1 million. And see how I can invest it so I can turn it into something I can actually live on when I retire.
Right. $1 million is not going to get you very far these days. It's
like see what I can invest in so I can actually turn it into something I can retire on. Because honestly,
$1 million gets rid of all my debt so that I can retire.
I'd be able to buy myself a small 2-bedroom condo here in Palm Springs. That's about as far as I'd get with $1 million in California.
California, $1 million is what? Maybe 530,000 comes out to 530,000 anywhere else.
Yeah.
But damn, at least trans people can exist without thinking about without wondering if they'll wake up being hunted for sport.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting closer to the Running Man every year.
Every year, bro. Like, bro, at this point, I live in hell, by the way. Florida, aka hell, DeSantis fan. We are ruled by an angry, charismatic, less idiot. And
Rick
sadist.
Scott and DeSantis. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I feel like
a 1-2 punch of fuck shit.
They're giving New Jersey a run for their money for worst governors. Because
I'm just thinking to myself, like, listen, they're just getting a little bit too comfortable with the Nazis, and the fact that in my lifetime the fact that I'm like, we might very well just have an openly white nationalist state senate or governor within my lifetime.
Don't we already? I mean, look at Arizona. There's some candidates that have run in Arizona who.
Oh yeah, Blake Masters, that motherfucker.
Yeah,
and of course, Carrie Lake. Do you think? Speaking of, Carrie Lake and Kimberly Guilfoyle should start a podcast.
Yeah. Funny thing about Carrie Lake, if you go into certain corners of Black Twitter, there are some very interesting theories about Carrie Lake. Very interesting theories.
I mean, I've got time on my hands, so I will wait.
Yeah, like they are like occasionally it's like think about it like every 6 months Black Twitter remembers that Pete Wentz is half Jamaican. Every like 6 months they're like, oh yeah, what the fuck? I did not.
Who's Pete
we
Wentz?
get
Who's
lead
Pete
singer of
Wentz?
Fallout Boy, or we remember that Slash is half black every like
Yeah.
That
12
is the
months.
thing that is still funny to me is that people don't know he's not only half black, but he's British and his name is Saul.
Saul.
Yeah.
And I think he's like Black British Jamaican, which makes it even funnier. So it's like we all sit, it's like every 6 months, this kind of comes in that kind of idea of it comes in that kind of idea where we start to speculate about people who are passing. Yeah, people still pass. And I mean, and the passing successes can range from Carol Channing to Mike Tirico. Mike Tirico is a sportscaster. If you look him up, he swears he's not black.
Carol Channing was mixed? I didn't know that.
See? I'm teaching people shit every day.
Wow.
I think every episode should end with a an interesting thought. Although before I end this broadcast, I think I'm getting one last news update. It looks like Henry Kissinger is somehow still not dead.
God
Oh my God.
almighty.
Good night, everybody.